Welcome to Invercargill in New Zealand's deep south, home of cycling Southland and a region rich in scenery and character. For the past 58 years, Invercargill has opened its doors to a small army of elite cycling teams who descend on the region for one of the biggest and toughest races on the New Zealand cycle racing calendar. Across 7 stages and 900 kilometres, the cyclists will face everything the roads, terrain and weather of Southland can throw at them. At the end of the week, the best will take home the titles and the jerseys money can't buy. This is the 2014 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. Stage 4 of the SBS Bank Tour of Southland saw fireworks right from the gun. The flag dropped after a short rolling start, and within the first kilometre some 12 riders were away off the front. The group again contained some familiar faces such as Matt Zenovich and Thomas Stewart, both with clear missions in mind, these being the Sprint Ace and King of the Mountain classifications. Both were to achieve their respective goals by the end of the day's racing. The breakaway stayed away for 160 of the 187 kilometre stage, and former Swiss national under-23 champion Simon Pallow tried desperately to achieve the ultimate birthday gift by leading into the 9 kilometre Coronet Peak climb before being hauled in by young Liam Aitchison. But waiting in the wings was Australian Mitchell Lovelock-Fay, who patiently sat within the rapidly diminishing chase group before making his move with 5 kilometres remaining. Passing both Michael Torkler and Aitchison on the way, the Avanti Racing Team rider went on to win one of the biggest stages of his career and ultimately be rewarded with the leader's yellow jersey. Stage 5 sees the SBS Bank Tour of Southland return to Invercargill. After 2 huge alpine stages, today's leg of the tour through the rolling countryside of northern Southland will offer a little relief. With a proud industrial history of coal mining, this is now the agricultural heartland of the region and a world-class trout fishery.
I think we've had a pretty good week so far. Like we had Rion third on stage 3, was it, I think? And then yesterday TD did a good ride up with the final climbs. No, I think we're quite happy really.
Yeah, it's pretty calm, which doesn't help. So we're just got to start dropping some bombs and see what happens, mate. Yeah, I like a bit of a fight and I'm up for it.
Just give me a tough one out. Not to get around to nightcaps and the hills. There's a couple of sharp ones, but find what the wind does if it goes into the gutter. Hopefully us can survive, chew on the handlebars and get home.
I think there's going to be a lot of racing out there today, so we'll try and let them race to start off with. And then if a big move goes away, we might try and put Joe in there, who's third on general classification. So then that just gives us an easier day and the other teams have to chase.
Big plans put Avanti under pressure. The way I look at it is if I was in yellow, what would I not want people to do? So I have to race like that, and it's, yeah, I mean, no one cares about second, it's all about winning, so that's what we're here to do.
So 100 Mile faces the riders for this particular stage, and by this stage of the tour it's often the opportunist time.
In my own experience, days like this can actually be days where you can actually catch the rest of the field napping.
There are some long straights about 2/3 of the way into this particular stage. So a group again of half a dozen riders that have managed to get themselves off the front then have to take on the challenge of the block headwind quite often as they make their way up towards Mosburn.
You have to watch out for all the jerseys. There's the Sprints, the KOM, the silver and the yellow. Basically people are going to be going up the road looking for those extra points to make sure they've got that lead on a lumpy course, which can be very hard if it is windy.
If you don't have the yellow jersey within your team at that stage, you'll be definitely trying very hard to push the pace and create more splits and, you know, go for gold really.
And here we are today, stage 5, clear blue skies, started by Tony McCara this morning. Julian, he was one of the drivers last year in the tour who suffered a medical event on the Black Mount climb. Here he is back again following the tour. and it's great to see him back, Julian, really is.
It's fantastic having the likes of Tony and the crew out there supporting these riders once again. And as you said, ideal conditions for these riders here today. A big smile on the face of young Vesey there. There's some very jaded bodies out there, talking to a number of the young guys here this morning after a huge day on the bike yesterday.
Yeah, we're heading out the North Road here again, and there are some very, very tired legs in there. Not to say, however, the mood from the peloton this morning, Julian, is looking pretty frisky. There's some guys in there with some ambitions to get away as the tour rolls on. You've got less and less opportunities. Another preem out of town, and it's one of the Spraythrow AgriVantage team members taking that preem. That's a nice preem from that lad. Very, very well done. They're a new team, Julian, and they've really come on strong.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to have so many new teams involved in this year's tour, up against some of the more well-established teams in it. 18, of course, in total. As again, we see the hit-offs going off the front here. There would have been a lot of guys this morning hoping that it would have been taken a bit more leisurely here after that huge day yesterday, but they're getting out of the blocks here, sitting over 50k an hour.
Yeah, the natural assumption is a stage like this may just be a bit of a soft stage. It's certainly not proving the case. These guys are very motivated. You can see there before Hayden McCormick coming across in the under-23 jersey, but it's just game on. These guys are really, really attacking the stage. It's great to see.
So 4 more riders smashing it off the front here. We can see a few in the distance trying to get themselves across the gap here. And these 4 now trying to settle into things as we look at the breakaway and try and make out some of those colours. There's the Advanti team, of course. There goes the Ascot team once again involved here.
And that's Ben Hill, the previous yellow jersey wearer from the McCallum's group. They're having an astonishing week. Paul Harrington, the general operations manager of the squad, will be just wrapped with the charges this week. And Ken Lazenby and Blair, they're doing a great job looking after the team. Fantastic stuff.
Well, it's very interesting to see the makeup of that particular breakaway group. As we look here at what's happening in the peloton, it's a bit distorted here at the moment as riders sort of peeling off the back here and groups trying to get themselves back, but it's Torkler who's driving things here, and we look to the colours of another red member. It's another one of his teammates who's made the junction. It could well be one of the Hambrook brothers, I think it is, and that it's joined him. So instantly we now have 2 from the same team here.
So you can see the pace in the peloton is nice and sedate. However, this is fluctuating this morning. The conditions, once, as we were saying, are playing into the hands of the breakaway. But you can see 30k into the stage, coming into the township of Thornbury.
Yes, they'll look out for those railway lines as they approach a few of the sprints, and the green colours at the back was Darcy Allen Norton, man now based in Australia. Of course, he's riding for the Breeds of Europe All About Plumbing team. They've got the man McCormick in 2nd overall, so he's playing the gatekeeper.
Thomas Hubbard messaged me asking if I wanted to ride Southland. I said, "Oh mate, you're dreaming. I'm not doing it this year." Yeah, I sort of thought about it a bit and thought it would be sort of nice to go down and do it.
I'm predominantly a track cyclist. I'm part of the New Zealand Elite Development track team. Pretty awesome with Vink and Hayden there, and yeah, it's an awesome team to be a part of for my first tour.
I definitely think we'll have targets on our backs. I mean, both Hayden and I have, had good Tour of Southlands in the past, and we're pretty experienced, and all the guys in the team are super motivated, and they've all got, roles to fill. Any stage can be dangerous, any stage can be where the tour's won, so you've got to be switched on the whole week and have a good team around you, and I think we've got that with Breeds of Europe All About Plumbing.
Southland's definitely a race when you have to be onto it every day. You never know what the wind's going to do.
Mainly it's just shocking weather, snow, crosswind. Yeah, you just hear that it's just a horrible, hard race that proves me in from the boys pretty much.
I love it because for me there's not many chances I can race with my friends and sort of do a hard stage and sort of go back and have dinner and have a laugh about it.
It's just great to come home and just get down to good racing. There can be quite a lot of politics in the bigger racing over in Europe and even in Australia sometimes. So just to get back to home roads and just good hard honest racing, I think is just really enjoyable and kind of reminds you where you come from, and I think that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Here's a great example of the chaotic efforts that are going on in this fast and furious start to the stage here, with the yellow and the pink jersey in the second half of the chasing peloton here. They're about to junction once again, but still there is a group off the front that are not aware of what's going on back here with these guys.
Impressive bike racing, Julian. You could really look at this stage and think that a lot of the bike riders in the past would have taken this stage as a bit of a soft stage and a bit of a recovery for tomorrow. These young guys this year have really impressed me in the aggressive way they've attacked every day. They've always tried to get away on the brakes, and this is just another level of bike racing, I believe, in the SBS Bank Tour of Southland. It's really, really cool to see.
And once again we see some more hit-outs coming off the front here as they try and shut down that leading group. As we mentioned, some of the names that are in it here are going to put some pressure on the top contenders in this tour, with a number of them in the top 10 overall.
You can see here the conditions are still fantastic. There's not a lot of wind, which is really playing into the hands of all of these breakaway attempts. It's just as easy almost with a breakaway of 7 or 8 riders as it is with the pelotons chasing, because often in these groups, Julian, there's only 6 or 7 riders who are actually forcing the pace in the groups. There's a lot of riders following along. You can see here there's a bit of looking over shoulders. This is one of the McCallum's group team jumping on the back wheel of the Kia Motors squad. So yeah, it's been a very, very hectic pace and a very hectic start.
Here's another good example, the fact they can't rely on the conditions to make life hard for these guys here. This is coming down to pure fitness here, and now we see this lead group starting to form a bit more after some big efforts off the front. Vesey getting in there with them, Ben Hill, and now we see once again the Ascot Kia team. They've come out here today with a real intention to get this race stirring along.
Yeah, this is Kieran Hambrick bridging across. Really, really good footage here. You see all the key moves. It's great to see this sort of thing. Gives everybody an idea just how dramatic and how hard this race is. It's on off the whole way, and these riders at the front here are having a bit of a chat, trying to work out exactly how far and where they are and what's going on. Often a lot of the riders don't know where you are on the road, and you get asked a lot if you're reasonably local. So these guys are really, really putting it down and are really trying their best to get away from the chasing group.
And there we have the chasing group, the man in yellow with his teammates on the front, as you would expect, trying to control things. They can see them just in that distance there. It doesn't look like much, but often it can be a road very desperate to try and get across at 1 minute distance here as they approach one of the next big hills.
Powerful new Octavia RS. Not your everyday family car. Skoda, simply clever.
Welcome back to this year's coverage of the 2014 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. Mike Northey in a desperate attempt to get across to his teammates here at the front of the race. That would make 3 Kia Motors Ascot Park riders in this breakaway attempt. That is dangerous, and some of the alarm bells must be ringing back in the main peloton, not only from the point of view of a stage attempt, but also for things like the team's classification.
It's also, Doug, a very unusual sight to see in any sort of breakaway in any bike race. To have one teammate up there is one thing, to have a couple is another, but to have 3 guys now to be able to dictate terms there and a group of 7 riders is quite substantial, and they certainly now have the cards in their favour here to dictate things.
You can see here on Mike Northey's bike, just by his handlebar stem, a big unit sticking out. All of these guys I've noticed this year have all got the power meters on, but they're also all running GPS, so they all know exactly where they are on the stage. They know exactly how far they've gone. They've got a profile, and it's very, very interesting to see that all of them have got that kind of information.
So here we have the chasing peloton here, cruising along at a fairly steady sort of a rate at 2 minutes and 10 seconds though. There'll be some serious thoughts going through the minds of these top contenders. They know full well that in that lead group of 7 riders, 4 of the riders are in the top 10 on the general classification. What's going through the mind of this man here in the yellow jersey?
These sort of scenarios probably have been played out, but you can see here there's a discussion going on. Breeds of Europe, all about plumbing, Avanti Racing Team, the 2 teams who are probably standing to lose the most here.
So you can see the 2 men side by side there for a moment, the yellow and the pink. They are first and second overall in the general classification. So some strong words being suggested there as to who needs to be doing some of the work on the front. I think a bit of an ask of both 2 teams, the top teams, to get onto the front and work together united.
Got to remember, this is a stage race and it's an endurance contest, and these kinds of situations do arise. Some of these guys are getting a wee bit more fatigued, a wee bit more tired. So it is this stage of the race where the mental aspects of the game come into play, and it's going to be quite important that they get some cohesion going here.
Now it's interesting, Doug, allowing the Ascot rider to sit into there because they know full well that he won't be too interested in taking a lap whatsoever, for very good reasons, when he has 3 of his own teammates up in the lead group. So they're not really getting themselves sorted out too quickly here, and of course that allows more time to be spread between them and the leaders.
The net effect of, Julian, yes, the leading group are all rolling around it, going at a heck of a lot quicker speed than this group. And if these guys hang around long enough, I'd suspect that the second chasing group coming along, you can see in the background there, will be coming up to catch these guys. And that may be what the tour leader, Mitchell Lovelock-Fay, is actually waiting on some reinforcements from his team, perhaps in these chasing groups, to come up and give him a hand. He's actually quite isolated as it appears.
It's a very stuttered attempt to try and get themselves across here as Vink gets himself back onto the front. We make our way now towards about the 80 kilometre mark. They'll be making their way down and towards the Tautau and Nightcaps region. So it's a large peloton once again here now as they make their way down towards the Nightcaps. Some great kids on the side of the road once again, as here we come over the hill climb, and it's Ben Hill, a man who picked up some early points in the tour, of course, winning the stage to Bluff, so he could be out there to try and pick himself up a few points and start challenging for that King of the Mountains.
Now the peloton behind them is reformed and is all in one group. This group here have got a bit of a sturdy challenge on their hands, but you can see they're rolling along nice. Of course, we've got 3 members of the same squad, the Ascot Park Kia Motors squad rolling through, but this breakaway attempt is now 2 minutes 32. We've still got a fair bit of work to do on the stage, Julian, but at this point in time, these guys will be quite happy with their progress.
Yeah, noticed in there, here he is right now. Michael Torkler performed extremely well yesterday for the Barry Stewart Builders. This man is the virtual leader on the road. At a minute 19 down, he is a serious contender for this yellow jersey, as is this young man here, Vesey. Of course, second overall in the under 23 category. McCormick will be getting a bit panicky about the fact that this man is out there and moving further up the GC.
Yeah, that's big stuff. You can see here back in the main peloton, the Avanti team, racing team once again with the yellow jersey there. Mitchell Lovelock-Fay nicely protected, but status quo back in the peloton. Things have reorganised. That chaos we saw before, Julian, is now being put back into some cohesive order, and there's a serious chase coming on at the front of the peloton. But I've got to hand it to Michael Torkler and Tom Vesey. A big chance today on a stage which didn't present itself on paper.
Here we have a great shot of Ryan Wills of the PowerNet team, a man that's been around for a few years now. He knows the game inside out. Based in Belgium, he's chosen here to be the passenger in amongst this lead group.
A tenable position really, Julian, and you can see the time gap back at 1:36, so the Avanti racing team have pulled this back a bit. These guys won't be impressed with Ryan Wills sitting on the back of here, and it really does disrupt you, and it has a bit of a mental sort of aspect to you too. And you can see here one of the Hambrook boys coming back to have a wee chat. What's your game? What are you up to? And Ryan Wills is really playing the card out. He's saying, hey, I'm not on a GC position, you guys are, and he's really manipulating this situation. Good on him. It's a tactic for sure, but it's certainly one that draws a lot of flack.
As we approach the finishing line here, it's Mike Greer-Holmes that have joined onto the front here with the Avanti team to try and offer a bit of respite to them and try and close down that gap and give their leaders an opportunity for the sprint finish.
Yes, once again, it's coming back to that situation where the Avanti racing team are at the front of the peloton. We've seen this so much this year in the 2014 edition, and we're coming over the bridge here across the Aridi River as we are now back at the front of the group, and Ryan Wills, the PowerNet rider we were talking about before, back on the back. It's going to be a fascinating finish to see whether this man's got some legs and he's had the energy, or it's one of these other riders that has been coming through and driving this breakaway. But we're coming up to a hard right-hander. It's slightly uphill along here. This will be sapping their strength a wee bit, Julian, but it's a very fast finish in from this.
There'll be a lot of thoughts running through the heads of these guys here. A number of them, of course, as we said, will be moving up on the GC if they can maintain a decent sort of a gap. They would have received the time checks from the commissaires on the motorbikes throughout as we head back to this chasing peloton. We're ticking along at a steady rate here, but are they going to have enough real estate to manage to shut it down?
Yeah, it's a good point there, Julian. The whole aspect of the stage is going to play out, I believe, into the hands of this front group. You can see them here heading into Lumsden. There's a bit of a left-hander and a right-hander, a bit of a loop we do into Lumsden, but you can see here again the peloton has got a big job in their hands to chase this group down. There's some serious work going on at the front of the race.
It'd be fair to say that Michael Torkler, the man on the front, won't be too concerned by the stage victory. He's more about trying to keep the distance, get as much time as he possibly can. But of course there are time bonuses up for grabs as well, and it could make all the difference. And of course we've got the likes of this Ascot team, 3 of them dug in here. They're really trying to set themselves up for a stage victory.
Yes, they'll be seriously trying to coordinate the wheels. You can see them opening up and letting each other in. That's probably the rider in 4th position there is setting himself up for the stage finish. Once again though, Michael Torkler and Vesey, they are driving this for their GC ambitions. They're not really thinking too much about this stage. It's all about time on the road and how much they can put in and get back on Mitchell Lovelock-Fay, who's back in the peloton chasing hard.
Hambrook looks like the man that's disappeared off over this last couple of kilometres. The 2 men in red, but it's the man Torkler on front that's driving things through here for them. Ben Hill waiting patiently further back as we look down the long finishing straight into Lumsden.
Yeah, here we are. The kick for the finish has started, and Tom Vesey from the H&J's Outdoor World Squad has gone early, but once again it's Ben Hill. Ben Hill's leading this stage out, and he is a very, very accomplished sprinter. This guy's a really good all-rounder, isn't he?
The man that's taken 2 stages thus far on the tour. Is he going to be strong enough to do it once again? From Australia, Ben Hill holding out Mike Northey by the looks of it with 100 metres to go, down to 50, but it's going to be Hill that's going to raise the arms in victory once again from Mike Northey across the line. And Ryan Wills will secure 3rd place in this stage here. Vesey tucks in behind him into the 4th spot, and the clocks are now running to determine who will get the yellow jersey. What will happen to this top 10 as we look down to the finishing straight? The big bunch kick. A number of these guys will be getting themselves towards the front of the race. Here's one of the remnants of the front of the group here, but it's really about these guys here as the clocks go. It's Brad Evans there of Otago down on the inside. He'll secure himself the bunch kick, but more importantly the yellow and pink are very close in contention. Disappointment for Michael Torkler, who shuts it down to a mere 4 seconds off the yellow jersey going into the final day of this year's tour, while McCormick holds off at 18 seconds in 3rd, making it for a fantastic finish into tomorrow's stage in Gala. The Harcourt Sprint Ace sees Matt Zenovich continue to hold on to the green jersey with 70. While the Jesco Hydraulics, it was a quiet day for Thomas Stewart on 44 points from Ben Hill, who secured 36 now to move into 2nd. Tight racing is the order of the day, and in the Henderson Construction under 23, it's only a mere 6 seconds separating Vesey and McCormick. The Stonewood Homes over 40s category still sees Gordon McCauley well out in front by over 4 minutes on Justin Stott and Mark Spessert of Otago. While the Wensley Cycles team classification, after a huge effort on the front all day long, still sees Advanti Racing Team well and truly out in front.
Yeah, things are getting pretty spicy at the top end of the charts there. Me talk all the way in a decent wee break today and put a bit of pressure on Avanti. So hopefully we'll continue to do the same tomorrow.
I'm hoping that I can pull out a good time trial and extend my lead, so then the afternoon stage isn't as hectic as today's race. But you never know. I've never really raced any of the New Zealanders besides Joe and Taylor in time trials before, so it could go either way. I could lose the jersey or I could extend my lead, but I'm hoping that I can extend it.
Follow the 2014 SBS Bank Tour of Southland all week with full results, live updates, photo galleries and video coverage every day at tourofsouthland.com.